Hey folks, Fernando doing our video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this case we have a shooting incident analysis, and bear with me because I promise this video is gonna be worth it. So a couple of things I'm gonna be explaining I have already gone through in much more detail in Street Survival Skills, my latest book, but this works perfectly so as to illustrate many of the things that I explain here with an actual real event involving a police officer wearing a body cam. So one of the things I've explained many times before in my channel is the advantage of having a revolver over a semi-automatic pistol. Of course, I use a Glock 99% of the time. It is what I recommend to anyone that's going to be training properly for self-defense. Right, get yourself a simple Glock, that is it. You know, you don't need a lot more than that semi-automatic pistol all the way. Having said that, for people that are not going to be training as much as they probably should, for people that are simply not interested in it, a revolver has several advantages. Most of all, the simplicity of user manual. It's as simple as it gets. You load it, pull the trigger, and it works. A semi-automatic pistol, even though it is terribly, incredibly reliable, it is amazingly reliable compared to what semi-automatic pistols were just a few years ago. Today, something like a Glock is boringly reliable. There's still the possibility of malfunctions, many of them caused by the user himself during stressful situations. So let's get to the video itself. We have this police officer talking with this woman. She's explaining that her husband, her partner, whatever, I think this is her son. So and the police officer is writing all of this down. She's explaining that her partner, husband, boyfriend, whatever it is behaving erratically. He's a meth addict. He's been violent. He may have or may not have a knife with him. So she's explaining all of this, that she was abandoned in a parking lot because this man was behaving this way. During that conversation, she says, "So look, there he goes. There he is." And what our police officer does is he gets into his patrol car, his vehicle, and follows him, goes after him. I think at that moment she says, there he is. So the cop gets in his car and he chases him, right? He chases the suspect and then gets off the vehicle and goes after him. He runs a little bit, adjusts the body cam just in case anything happens, and there he draws his gun, keeps on going after him. There he is, stop. He starts, this lasts like 10 seconds, the entire interaction. "Show me your hands," he says. And here we already see a couple things, right? We have our police officer, and we have our suspect that all of a sudden stops but comes moving towards the police officer. The police officer keeps saying stop. The suspect is not interested and starts saying kill me, kill me. Now a couple things already noticeable here. We have our police officer with a Punisher tattooed cross with the American flag, and he has what's usually called a Gucci Glock, which is a highly customized Glock full of crap that the gun probably doesn't need and may or may not cause malfunctions. It's usually ill-advised to modify your service gun or your defense gun more than the basics. In my case, I just have the night sights. It has orange on the back, green in the front, which is more visible, and that pretty much is all the gun has in terms of customization. That is it. The minute you start messing with a gun, bad things tend to happen. I'm not saying that this is the cause of the problem that we're going to be seeing here in a minute, but it may well be. You usually do not want to customize excessively your service gun, your self-defense gun. Notice one more thing. Our tattooed Avenger cop with his Gucci Glock and all just gave the order to the guy to stop. The guy is not interested in stopping and is telling him, shoot me. And notice that our police officer is already walking backwards. He's taking steps and keeps on taking one more step each time. The more, he's maybe, I don't know, like 20 feet away, whatever it is. Now, the more he advances, the more our police officer walks back. And that's an important point I want to bring up here, which is reality versus bullshit, reality versus our egos. How many times have we heard, you know, if anyone does this to me, I'm going to be shooting the bastard, I'm going to be doing this and that. Our Punisher guy, he starts walking backwards because he does not want to shoot this person. That is simply what's happening here. Tattooed and all, Gucci Glock and all, he just doesn't want to shoot him. Now, I will say this as well. Walking backwards is usually ill-advised. It's not a good idea because you're a lot more likely to trip and fall. It is much better to walk laterally as you create distance. That's typically the textbook type of advice. Easy to judge watching this from the comfort of my home in YouTube. Different thing is being there in this situation with the kind of stress that he's no doubt going through. So he keeps on moving backwards until the suspect leaves him no other choice. Now, notice that our police officer is doing several things at the same time. He's walking backwards, he's messing with his body cam, trying to make sure it's actually working and recording this, which he kind of envisions is not going to be ending up well, and he wants to have good footage of it, up to a point where he has no option left. And what he does is the only thing he can do, which is actually shoot. He walked backwards as much as he could. If you remember, it was like a fence, so there's going to be a fence towards his back. He has nowhere else to retreat, so he ends up shooting. Notice that the hands of the suspect go to a certain location, and there's a certain location I have explained in detail in Street Survival Skills. One of the ways I advise people to know certain vital organs is in a person, you know, a little drawing here, in a person that is dressed, the armpit, right left of the solar plexus, right, that's where the heart is. So when wearing clothes, there, left of the center of mass, that spot right there in the little cross, that's where the heart is. And that is where his hands are going, because that's where he got shot. And the guy goes down and he's not getting up. He's pretty much dead right there in the moment. Now, that is one of the things I like to point out, how to know where the more effective shot placement it goes. But besides that, you see that immediately our police officer starts fighting with his Glock. He starts struggling with his Glock because he experienced a malfunction. The malfunction may be caused because of a couple of things. Glocks are very reliable guns. These things are boringly reliable. So some people were saying that's because it's so customized. It has like several cuts. His Gucci Glock is, you know, it's a big old mess right there. Again, not a good idea. I also noticed that he was nervous and bringing his hand to the camera, to the gun. He was touching the gun all over. There's a good chance that he either limp wrested the gun when shooting, or he placed his hand somewhere that stopped that case from ejecting, because what ends up happening is he ends up with a stovepipe, and you probably, if you have a good eye, you see it there already. You see that right there? That's your typical stovepipe malfunction. So it's gonna be something like this, right? Brass, like that, without properly ejecting. Now, you see his hand going towards it, and he picks it up. He removes it like that so as to clear it. One of the things I explain in the book is the proper technique to clear specifically that type of malfunction, which is not that one, you know. Again, easy to judge when you're not there, but the proper technique for that type of malfunction would be like a reverse karate chop followed by tap, rack, bang. So instead of picking it like that, what you want to do with the palm of your hand, you bring it like this backwards strongly, and that clears the malfunction. It's a little bit faster than doing this. Of course, I'm just doing it with the camera between my hands trying to film this, but it usually works very well, very fast. Right after that, you know, he takes it off and he removes the magazine verifies it, inserts it again, racks a gun, and now he's ready to shoot. So basically what you would be doing, I'm not left-handed, I'm just trying to imitate this as much as possible. It would be also correct to just dispose of this magazine and just put a new one. That would also be valid, but he does that like that, lets it fly forward, and that is when the gun is again ready to shoot. So all of these things end up happening in a very short period of time. But again, I think it illustrates very well the importance of proper training. The gun alone is not going to be doing any magic. If this officer didn't have that kind of training, and if someone else was attacking him, that malfunction could have well cost him his life. If he needed another round right away, if someone else was attacking him, if he needed to keep on shooting, that interruption could have cost him his life. Fortunately, it wasn't necessary. After the first shot did the job. But for home defense, for a homeowner, for the average person that's not going to be getting this type of training that goes along with this type of firearm, this other type of firearm is better advised. You have less capacity, but those rounds are far more likely to go out when you need them, and you're far less likely to have these user-caused malfunctions that require a level of training so as to react almost automatically to them. Guys, these are just a few of the things I've explained in Street Survival Skills. If you haven't got the book already, I'll leave the link there below in Amazon for you to look and check out. I think it was worth looking into a little bit, because it's in these experiences that you learn some of these valuable lessons. It is always easy to be the couch quarterback and analyze things, but at the same time, these are good learning opportunities so as to see how people react, the basic human nature of folks, and how training and properly selected equipment can make a big difference. I'll leave the link below as well for the Police Academy activity video if you want to check it out. Guys, it's all. See you in the next video. Have an awesome day.